What's going on, guys? Freek here, and in this video we're going to be talking about the Warriors and, of course, whether or not this happens, but the possibility of them getting the #1 overall pick and then becoming, once again, title contenders immediately after the season. Now, of course, as we all know, the Warriors have been plagued with injuries and having nothing but bad luck when it came to the playoffs last season, and it has resulted coming over to this season where it definitely seems like a lot of them are going into situations where they are right now not doing good at all. As we can see right here, they have the worst record in the NBA as far as the make of this video at 5-20, and of course, as we all know, the Warriors have had the best regular season stretch winning wise over a 5-year period in NBA history. So whenever we look at something like this and seeing such a huge dramatic change, of course, understandably because of injuries, and then of course them losing their depth over the years after the Kevin Durant trade, the sign. And once we saw that, we of course went back into the realm of many people seeing that trade for D'Angelo Russell, and many people think it would turn around. But now they're at the bottom of the league, which of course is not the same as it has been in previous years, as now, of course, as we saw last year, as the Pelicans got the #1 overall pick, it changes up the odds completely, as the bottom 3 teams have the same odds to get the #1 overall pick, to, of course, to negate people from tanking. But in this situation, of course, despite the fact that the Warriors most likely can easily finish with the #1 worst record in the league, it's really possible that they can get this #1 overall pick just due to the fact of the odds being the way that they are. Now, of course, it's not as big odds as what it would have been in the past, but in a situation like this, you're talking about a team that is going to be adding an MVP, a former MVP, a Defensive Player of the Year, an All-Star, and then you're talking about, of course, the possibility of having an opportunity to get the best player in the draft class next season. Now, of course, when it comes down to this, they don't even need the #1 overall pick when it really comes down to it, as this year's draft class is full of basically point guard prospects, if you do not know, as far as what's really out there. And of course, as the situation holds for the Warriors, they would not really need either a point guard or another shooting guard in their situation, as they already have 3 very high level players. And if you are to see somebody, they probably are looking for a player that's ready to come into the NBA right now, and in many aspects of that. So of course, this can lead them to multiple situations if they get this #1 overall pick, and that is, of course, the ability not only to use it to get one of the top players if they do find one, but if they do not find somebody who is NBA ready immediately, a presence that they directly want to work with, they can easily trade down in the draft and then end up getting a player that they do think is good for that pick, and then of course end up with a good pick in the next season from a team that's desperately looking at a certain player. Now, of course, whether or not they would be able to do that or where they end up in this draft class, that's the big situation. And of course, this is the big turnaround of whether or not this is just the comeback that they could really be seeing here. Now, of course, as many people would know, the Warriors, doing as bad as they are this year, will have probably the weirdest turnaround that we have ever seen from a team, as having the most 5 years most dominant stretch in NBA history, to having most likely the worst record in the NBA, to going back to being a title contending team. And depending on, of course, what happens in this offseason, they might even have the ability to become even top favorites in order to go into the next season. So that would be something, as far as that, we've never would have seen in NBA history before, as far as such a quick turnaround from a team. Usually when a dynasty goes down in this form of way, at least record wise, we wouldn't have seen such a quick turnaround that we're most likely going to see coming into the next season. So in this situation, of course, the next question is, if they get this #1 overall pick, who should they go for? Now, of course, in this situation, determining the fact that they don't make a trade to this season, I think the fact that a player that you could have put along this apparently already big 4 in this situation, and add another all-star caliber player maybe through the draft, is maybe going with the center Wiseman. Now, of course, he's ineligible as far as for majority of almost half of this NCAA season, but of course we know the fact that he's projected to be the #1 center in the league, and of course in a situation where we were seeing in a very low level team that Draymond Green is struggling to go out here and actually perform at this high enough level that he's been playing at Defensive Player of the Year levels for the past few seasons. We've been seeing the fact that adding that center, that shot blocker in the middle, really does seem to help him out in that way. And of course, with him having that big contract, I think it is very difficult to be able to move it. So I imagine they will maintain with Draymond Green and most likely try to center another center there, as we've been hearing about those reports, of course, of them trying to be interested in somebody like Andre Drummond. We definitely know the fact that these players, in many other cases, despite the fact that the center position is really going down, you could really see something there. But as far as that, that's the player that I think that they should really probably try to go for if they end up with that #1 overall pick. Of course, this is all depends on it. But guys, of course, the real question is to you guys. What do you guys think of the Warriors being title contenders next season? What are your thoughts on them maybe getting the possibility of a #1 overall pick? Tell me in the comments below. I'd like to see what you guys think about that. And of course, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure that you guys leave a like and subscribe to become part of the Greek Army today. And as always, this is Sparta.